Hello, this is Leroy Meadows, and thank you for joining me in this session. In this session, we're going to work out and talk about chapter exercise 18-33 at the end of the chapter. And again, this is dealing with the chapter on spoilage, rework, and scrap. So let's go ahead and take a look at this question here. Hire Appliances assembles dishwashers at its plant in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. In February 2017, 60 circulation motors that cost $110 each from a new supplier who subsequently went bankrupt were defective and had to be disposed of at zero net disposal value. Hire Appliances was able to rework all 60 dishwashers by substituting new circulation motors purchased from one of its existing suppliers. Each replacement motor costs $125. And we're asked for three things here. So let's take a look at the first question that we're asked. What alternative approaches are there to account for the material cost of reworked units? So we really have two different approaches to account for the material cost of reworked units. The first one is to charge the cost of rework to the current period as a separate expense item as abnormal rework. Now this approach would highlight to Hire Appliances the cost of the supplier problem, and this would isolate the cost of that supplier problem by itself. The other thing we could do is to charge the cost of the rework to manufacturing overhead as normal rework. So those are the two alternatives. We're not picking an alternative right now, but we're just illustrating the different approaches we have, the two alternatives we have. Now, requirement 2 asks, should Hire Appliances use the $110 circulation motor or the $125 motor to calculate the cost of materials reworked? And we're asked to explain. Well, the $125 circulation motor cost, that is the actual cost of the actual motor, including the dishwashers. The $110 motor, well, that was from the first supplier. Well, we never used those in any dishwasher, and remember that supplier is now bankrupt. So those units have now been disposed of at zero disposal value, so we're going to go ahead and use that actual $125 circulation motor because that is the cost of the actual motor included in the dishwasher. Now finally, number 3, what other costs might Hire Appliances include in this analysis of total cost of rework due to circulation motors purchased from the now bankrupt supplier? Well, when we're talking about the cost of rework, what do we want to include? What other costs might we want to highlight? Well, any labor, any additional conversion costs spent on substituting the new circulation motors. So take out the old motors, put in the new ones. Cost of any of the extra negotiations to obtain the replacement circulation motors. So whenever we have to incur additional costs to get those motors, such as the negotiations, what any higher price the existing supplier may have to charge to do a rush order, and let's say they have to rush these motors to us because we need those appliances out the door for our customers. What about ordering costs? Should we not have additional costs or should we not consider the additional ordering costs for the replacement circulation motors? So we've got a few things here that we should include in the analysis of reworking and what costs we should consider when reworking units, especially when we have to go outside of our company and reach out to our supply chain. Now we've got additional costs. We've got purchase order costs. We have maybe the cost of the unit itself, any additional freight to rush those units to us. What about the labor and any overhead that might be involved in substituting out those cheap $110 motors that were defective and now putting in that new motor. So any additional labor that we incurred up and above what we should have incurred, we definitely want to include those costs as well. So this exercise, while brief, is just an example to really think about what type of extra costs should go into or what should we include as far as rework costs. What additional costs are we including? In this case, it's not just a replacement motor, but it's a number of additional costs other than that. So this is Leroy Meadows. I want to thank you for joining me. Have a good day.